Wilson was a quiet 13-year-old boy. In his neighborhood, a large house had recently been sold, and the family was having a second-hand sale of the house's belongings. Wilson went there with his mother and immediately noticed a doll, a beautiful Labubu doll. The doll had sparkling blue eyes like glass and a wide smile on its face. Its ears were shaped like cute little rabbits, and its fur was a gorgeous golden color. Despite its old age, Wilson felt an inexplicable attachment to the doll. He also knew that if he showed it to his friends, everyone would be thrilled, and he would become very popular. After much pleading, his mother, Isla, bought the doll for him. At home, Wilson placed Labubu on his shelf and began doing his homework. But every time he glanced at the doll, it seemed to smile at him and beckon him closer. Unable to resist, Wilson left his homework and started playing with it. Soon, his mother called him downstairs. As Wilson placed Labubu back on the shelf, a heavy metal trophy from the top shelf fell, directly where he had been standing. If he hadn't moved, it could have crushed his head. Wilson panicked, but quickly put the trophy back to avoid his mother's scolding. In the following days, strange accidents started happening more frequently. Whenever Wilson played with Labubu, objects in the house would topple or break. Lights would short-circuit, glass windows would crack, and things seemed to happen more often. Wilson even noticed that the doll's smile seemed to grow slightly larger with each passing day. Wilson told his father about everything. Initially, his father thought it was just his imagination, but to keep his son safe, he took the doll and promised Wilson that they would take it to a junkyard the next day and buy him plenty of new toys. That night, as Wilson slept, a loud crash was heard, followed by his father's scream. When Wilson opened his eyes, Labubu was right in front of his face, smiling at him. Terrified, Wilson threw the doll and ran out of the room. He found his father at the bottom of the stairs, badly injured. His mother rushed him to the hospital, while Wilson stayed in the living room, too scared to approach his room where the doll had been. The next morning, the doll was still on the sofa. Wilson's mother threw it into the outdoor trash bin, hoping the nightmare was over. But later that night, while Wilson was watching TV in the living room, the rocking chair began moving on its own. When he looked closely, Labubu was sitting on it. Its eyes moved and seemed to stare directly at him. Wilson was frozen in fear. The next day, Wilson went back to the house where the sale had taken place, but it was empty. The security guard there told him something shocking. The doll had originally been ordered by the House E's children from a toy shop in China. Since it arrived, the family's life had fallen apart. Illnesses, financial troubles, constant fights, and eventual madness plagued them. The house was abandoned, and Labubu was left behind. The guard also mentioned that strange laughter had been heard in the house while the doll remained inside. But after it was gone, the noises stopped. One day, Wilson took Labubu to school and threw it onto the playground. His best friend Chris picked it up, mocking Wilson and the doll. At that moment, a baseball flew at Chris's head, causing him to fall. A sharp metal spike on the playground impaled Chris, killing him instantly. Wilson realized then that Labubu was no ordinary doll. It was truly evil. That same day, he dismantled the doll, cut it into pieces, and burned them. But that night, he found the doll back in his room. This time, it emitted an eerie, mocking laughter. Wilson spent the night shivering in fear. The next morning, his body was covered in bite marks. His parents, alarmed, immediately called a priest. The priest examined the doll and declared that it was no ordinary toy. It housed a malevolent entity. The priest had the family evacuate the house and performed a ritual to lock Labubu in a strong iron box, burying it near the house from where Wilson had brought it. Wilson and his parents thought the nightmare was finally over. But the next morning, they learned that the priest had died in a car accident. Fearing further danger, the family left the house and moved far away. Since that day, Labubu never troubled Wilson again, though even now he occasionally has terrifying dreams about the doll.